Welcome everyone to another video with me, and yeah, I'm not tired of Donkey Kong Country music yet. Anyway, so had a really nice weekend playing way too much Resident Evil 4, and quite enjoyed it, but that's not what we're here today. But yeah, quickly before we get into the global stuff this week and a lengthy discussion about Yuffie, which is kind of interesting. I promise, it's actually interesting. This week for live streams, as of Monday, what I am planning on doing is a Resident Evil 4 stream, because it's just not out of my system yet. I still want to play more RE4. There was a fun 8-hour stream on the weekend, and I'll just be doing more of it pretty much as soon as I'm done this video. So if you want, come check it out. And of course, Wotv discussion is always welcome on my streams, although sometimes it gets me a bit fired up. Anyway, Wednesday is going to be the live stream recap, as well as my restream of the live stream. The big thing to do with this is going to be, of course, the new unit announcement, which is pretty much Rafu, but just in case, maybe it will be Hayu and as well, and then Globalers will get a first peek, you never know, or maybe an old collaboration. So there's always a possibility that there'll be some good stuff on this live stream. Now, talking about that, finished and out of the way, about 2 minutes in, let's talk about Yuffie and Yuffie. This is the ultimate Schrodinger's unit in terms of Wotv, because this unit is both alive and dead in JP, and it's such a convoluted thing to try and recommend this unit, because personally, I've gone back and forth multiple times. I started out being really gung-ho, thinking that she was absolutely the best thing since sliced bread, and then after a while, I soured on her, and then I came around back to that she's good, and then bad, and then good, and it's really complex, my thoughts on this unit. I mean, personal bias, I mean, FF7 units are always going to be some of my favorites because it's my favorite Final Fantasy. There's nothing you can do about that. And as such, you know, Yuffie's one of my favorite characters in Final Fantasy VII. So again, I really want this unit to be good. And this is another case of newer units that seem to be better for everyone else than it is for me. And Yuffie is interesting because she isn't a unit that I think that a lot of people can just pick up and play as easy as like Sephiroth, and to a lesser extent probably Hayu next month for global will be much easier. I created a brand new account and I'm looking to get up to speed, and I need a really good character. Which character should I use? And quite frankly, like Sephiroth, Hayu, King Bradley are all really top tier characters that, well, Hayu I'm assuming, but like if we're just talking about the fire element for a second, let's take a step back and talk about the fire element before we get too far into the Schrodinger's complex that I've developed. Mont. UR Mont is probably one of the most important generalized units for the fire element if you were doing the reincarnation path and having fire as one of your main elements. This is a character that I think works in basically any composition. I think he's still insanely good and much better into his 140, and still pretty good even right now on JP compared to a lot of the newer units that have been upgraded. So I have to say that this is probably one of the more basic units that I think. Now, after that, people are going to potentially have different pathways. Will you go Valentine Elvira? Will you go down the route of, like, because Global has a really high track record for global exclusives being incredibly overpowered and usually really, really good investments for globalers, because there's an excitement factor and they usually end up being overtuned to try and compete against what everybody already knows. So by that logic, yeah, like Hayu is probably going to be another mainstay on a fire elemental team, or for at least now we can kind of assume that he's going to be. So if that's the case, the question is like, who's that third unit, right? Who's the third unit you put in? And, you know, because Roy Mustang and Kefka really go towards more of a magic side, and that's not where Mont is going to be most of the time. I don't think that Mont and Kefka work exceedingly well together, as I beat them with a couple of different elemental themes and absolutely spank them with water, even with some status effects tomfooleriness. But so some people may already have this unit, and I know what you're saying. Setia is not amazing. She hasn't been amazing even into her 140, and that's not entirely true because of the one of the major changes. But a major issue with Setia is to do with accuracy and DPS. Like, she really doesn't feel a lot of the times that she hits the stride that some of the other range units, and especially Ice. And there's a couple of differences with that are coming in the future for Setia being an argumentative case here. And mostly that's the bow. I clicked on the wrong button there, but the bow that comes with the wave battles is a top 10 like best equipment for range units, and goes a long way into it pushing like some range units to be a lot stronger on their weak parts. Of course, I haven't done this yet just because I'm so far behind, but the point stands that Setia, through a lot of the stuff that's coming out, is actually pretty decent with Mont. And of course, we need to talk about this. And actually, I just got this weekend, so perfect timing. Dark Chaos Shadow Ifrit, whatever you want to call him, based on your preferences, but this VC goes a long way to both Fire and Thunder like physical teams. And this, in combination with the new bow, in combination with the fact that many people haven't really put a ton of effort into it, myself included, but Setia actually looks really solid and can be used quite successfully into a team, a Fire Elemental team, that works quite well with that. But this weekend, something that I noticed was that quite a few limited time Guild War teams are just using Yuffie because a lot of people aren't prepped for it. And that comes back to this third unit kind of thing. I'm circling back around. Yuffie is a really strong, really good unit. Like, the fact that she has a ignore sure hit and give herself a free tanking of a single tank of damage, like, is very valuable. All that stuff is very good. Yuffie does fall flat in the sense that, you know, if she is just a unit against a unit with very high accuracy, she falls. And I've seen through testing videos that Yuffie is quite often even a first unit to die, sometimes quite a few times actually, just because of the fact that really once her barrier is gone and her sure hit thing is gone, well, she's wide open. But even then, like, just high accuracy can absolutely sink this unit. And sometimes it gets the job done and sometimes it doesn't. It's really hard to say how long your mileage will vary with this unit. Fire is on an interesting upswing right now with the combination of newer units that are coming exclusively to global, such as Hayo, as well as just the fact that Mont is a good long-term value unit, and the fact that Fire can also pivot into like a magical composition if you get bored with the physical side of it, and the fact that like the Dark Ifrit card works very, very well. But it still comes back to this recommendation of Yuffie. Most accounts, I don't think, will get the highest value out of her because you need all the evasion equipment. You almost kind of need to get the Dark Ifrit card too if you really, really want to excel. Dark VCs, I just don't ever like recommending them because they are 40k sinks at times, and not everybody can do that. Yuffie does have probably a good amount of capability just from what I've seen, and she has a lot of bad potential too, which is why, as I almost knocked something off my desk, I'm putting this unit as the ultimate. This is like going to be a unit that I think you're either going to love or hate. She fits well into like having a 90 and 100 cost through UR Mont and her in combination with a 50 cost unit to basically hit that 240 limit a lot of the times and be an annoying evasion unit that's kind of hard to deal with for a team that's not prepped for it. But then again, like it feels like as newer units are coming out with potentially higher accuracy and more damage capability, Yuffie Fledge can just be a little bit wavery on her overall performance. I honestly still really like everything about this idea that's coming out with Sure Hit Ignore, because it once again makes some teams need to rely on actually having accuracy and not just being like, hey, whatever, we can just sure hit it and be fine kind of thing. So yeah, this is one that, like, even to the end of this video, I think you can tell how mixed I am on this unit. Some people will really love it, some people will really hate it. I just don't think that this unit in particular you can get away as successfully without the full evasion package. And part of that is Dark Ifrit. Dark Ifrit is her Esper of choice, and a premium Esper at that. You can use this Esper, of course, for multiple different types of fire units out there. Since it is just an attack up and a fire attack up, you don't need to go the slash attack route, you don't need to go the evasion route. But Dark Ifrit is a premium tier evasion Esper for sure, and for Yuffie, definitely one of the best if you really want to get the most value out of it. But it does take a 90 cost unit, and significantly, potentially, if your luck is bad, and remember the rates in this game, it really does balloon the cost of a 90 cost character well and truly way higher than what you think. And in combination between the Dark Esper VC, getting Yuffie, and then raising Yuffie to a 120 and a 140, where you're really going to want to put a lot of resources into her to make sure that she's as deadly as possible, to reincarnate her as many times as possible. Like, it does very quickly stack up in how, like, illusionary the 90 cost unitness of this unit actually is. So I guess at the end of this video, 13-minute mark, Yuffie, not a great unit, I think, for beginner accounts, just because it requires a lot of evasion equipment and potentially an evasion Esper. And you could reroll for it, but you still need the equipment to truly get there. And I think Sephiroth is just generally better, unless you want to just reroll until you're blue in the face so you can get like everything on a single account for like 4K. Good luck with the rates on that one of Sephiroth and Yuffie. But yeah, I do think that for long-term accounts, this is really a question of whether you're hard committing to fire at this point, and specifically fire physical, because Hayu is still a question mark. And I'm just going to leave one final piece of information that I want to remind people of. Do you remember Dark Shadow Links, who was a global exclusive? I guarantee that they're always going to be the best of the best. Thank you so much for watching. Take care, and see you next time.